Hi friends! I'm going to tell you about another root vegetable today. Let's see if you know what it is. Have you ever seen one of these? Have you ever eaten one? What about this? It's the same thing. It's shaped a little different, but it's the same vegetable. What about this one? Pretty big. This one's pretty small. What about this one? This one may look a little more familiar, although it is dirty. You've probably seen this, a sweet potato, at the grocery store, and this is more what they look like. If you grow your own, you sometimes get to see these different shapes and sizes that don't show up at the grocery store because some people don't think they look very good. But you know, it's what's on the inside that counts, right? Like with people. And they may not be beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, they're delicious and they're actually a beautiful orange color. So before we make a snack out of them, I want you to see what they looked like when they were out in the garden growing. These are our sweet potato plants. Okay? But you know what? The part we eat is all the way down here. There's the sweet potatoes still in the ground because they are a root vegetable. All right, so we are going to make sweet potato dippers. So it's a really easy recipe for baking sweet potatoes, and then of course there is a dip involved. So let's get started. I have washed and peeled and sliced 2 sweet potatoes into 1/2 inch thick slices. You do not have to peel them. I did in this case. And we are going to add a teaspoon of oil. You can use olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil. And I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And if you like pepper, you can go ahead and add a few shakes of that. You'll know they all have a little oil on them when they're all just a little bit shiny. Got a baking sheet with parchment paper on it. I'm going to put my sweet potatoes on here and let them cook at 425 degrees for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to flip them over and cook them some more. This is what the sweet potatoes look like after cooking for about 10 minutes. So you need an adult to flip them over and put them back in the oven. So they've cooked another 10 minutes on the other side, so that's 20 minutes total. And this is what they look like when they're done. All right, so they wouldn't be sweet potato dippers without a dip. So we're going to make a honey mustard dip. And to make honey mustard, you just need mayonnaise, mustard, and honey. Now, I have 3 types of mustard here because you can use any type of mustard that you like. Okay? You can go plain yellow mustard. You can do the Dijon or like a spicy brown. I'm going to do the spicy brown. So let me show you how to make it. We're going to start with a bowl, and we're going to be using a tablespoon measure. So I would like to put in 1 and 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Then I'm going to put in 1 and 2 tablespoons of mustard. Then I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of honey. You might not even want a whole tablespoon if you don't like it really sweet. You may not have ever had honey mustard before. Now I just need to get a spoon and stir it up. Looks good to me. So here they are, sweet potato dippers with honey mustard sauce. Yummy and beautiful. Look how beautiful that orange color is. Our story today is Little Sweet Potato by Amy Beth Bloom and published by Catherine Teagan Books, which is an imprint of HarperCollins. Little Sweet Potato. Once upon a time, there was a little sweet potato who lived in a garden patch where the earth was rich and brown and the air smelled sweet and spicy. He had never been anywhere else at all. Just as little sweet potato was beginning to get a peek at the world around him, there was a terrible quaking and shaking, and everyone in the garden patch held on to their vines for dear life. Little sweet potato got shaken loose and landed plop in the middle of a new and not so nice place. Where am I? He wondered. And how do I get back home? And how will I know home when I get there? There was no one to answer him. Little sweet potato pulled together all of his sweet potato courage and went rolling over to a garden patch at the edge of the road. Excuse me, little sweet potato said very politely. Do I belong here? They looked at him. They looked at one another. They fluffed their leafy green tops and wiggled their long orange bodies. We think not, they said. You are lumpy, dumpy, and we have to say it, you're bumpy. You do not belong here. Little sweet potato rolled away as quickly as he could. He didn't know the world had such mean vegetation in it. Trying to be brave, little sweet potato rolled off to another patch, hoping things would go a little better and be a little nicer. Excuse me, said little sweet potato. Do you think there might be a place for me in this garden? They looked at him and they looked at one another. Well, let me think, the biggest rumbled. Nope. See, we are handsome and purple with skin like satin. And the fact is, you are dumpy, bumpy, and kind of lumpy. What I'm trying to say, pal, is scram. And little sweet potato rolled away. He didn't know the world had such scary vegetation in it. I'm down, but I'm not out, little sweet potato said bravely. And even though his feelings were mashed very soft and tender from all the rough handling, he rolled himself to the edge of another garden. Excuse me, he said. Do you think maybe I could move in next to you? Oh my goodness, they giggled. Their long green arms covered their velvety blue and yellow faces. Oh dear, we don't think so. You're not even a flower. You're lumpy, bumpy, dumpy vegetable. We're beautiful. No offense. And they waved goodbye as little sweet potato rolled off. The rest of the day was just as bad. Bunches of round fruit, shiny and bright as green marbles, told him to get lost. pink and puffy and sweet-smelling flowers with soft petals and sharp stickers told him there was no room in their garden. Curvy green striped vegetables with bent necks and beautiful yellow flowers told him to shove off. "Well, that's it," said little Sweet Potato. "There's just no place for me. I am all alone," he thought, and one big tear rolled down his dear, bumpy, sweet potato face. "Hey you, little sweet potato. Yeah, you, Bumpy, Bumpalicious." "Who, me?" Little Sweet Potato didn't know he was being called. Was he a sweet potato? Was he Bumpalicious? "You! You're sweet, you're neat, and you've got that gorgeous sunset color. You're a sweet potato. Now roll on over here." Little Sweet Potato did roll toward the voice, his little sweet potato heart beating fast. "Excuse me," he said when he got to the patch. "What for? We're just so glad you found your way back home." A lumpy, dumpy, and wonderfully bumpy sweet potato said very kindly. "Home?" said little Sweet Potato. He felt himself glowing as brightly as the sun. "I'm home?" "Absolutely," said the big, bumpy, and magnificently lumpy sweet potato. "And in the world's greatest garden, with fruits and vegetables and some flowers so fancy even I don't know what they are. Some just like their own kind," one of the pansies said sweetly. "But we're the kind that like all kinds." "You're so nice," said little Sweet Potato. "I met some flowers who looked just like you, but they weren't very nice." "Some are, some aren't," said a friendly carrot. "We are." "That's how it is, kid," said a gleaming eggplant. "Not all mulch and sunshine out there." "Oh, I know," said little Sweet Potato. "All kinds," said the big Sweet Potato. "Teeny and tall, big and small, fat as a ball and skinny as a stick. Of course, I happen to think Lumpy, Dumpy, and Bumpy is especially nice." "Me too," said little Sweet Potato. At least, he thought he said it. He was getting awfully sleepy. He rolled into the patch on a spot that seemed just the right size, little Sweet Potato size. He nestled into the rich brown earth and gazed at the sky and the trees and the vegetables and the flowers, and he settled down with a smile on his sweet potato face. How wonderful to be a sweet potato. How wonderful to be home at last. The end. I just love that story. I think it's so cute and so sweet. And if you want to read another potato book, might I suggest The Brave Potatoes by Toby Speed, and the illustrator is Barry Root. Do you think that's his real name, or is that a joke? Remember, potatoes are root vegetables. I also would suggest The Ugly Pumpkin by Dave Horowitz. And this is another story about a vegetable struggling with how he looks and finding his place in the world, finding where he belongs. It does have a happy ending, but I don't want to tell you what it is because it's kind of a surprise ending. So I think those are all good books, all good recommendations. And that's all the time I have. So I will see you next time.